I really do love my body.
Your third failure is your body failing you.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously a lot of that is wrapped up in what you went through with your deeply traumatic birth. But before that, in 2018, I think you were diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, which is something that has plagued you for quite a long time. And you recently made the decision to go public with the fact that you've been fitted with a stoma, which again, I just think is so incredible and empowering. And stomas have never looked so hot. Like, you look so hot. And I thank you. I just salute you.
Thank you.
But tell me why you wanted to pick this one as a failure. As someone who historically had been so into fitness, on the cover of Women's Health magazine twice, how much of a shift has it been for you in terms of your relationship with your body?
Well, I think the way I've framed it is really harsh on myself, saying that my body has failed me, because my body has also actually lived and has lived through an awful lot of physical health problems. So it's, I've maybe not been fair to it, but I think what I mean is that it is the drastic change. And from being someone that has always treated my body I say always, not when I was drinking and partying a lot, but I've spent so much time really looking after my body. And I really made some big changes when Ryan and I started dating, and he's introduced me to an incredible lifestyle. And I really love my body. And not in a vain way, but he really taught me how to kind of respect my body, and I really enjoyed it, and everything kind of was just getting better and better, and I'd not really faced any adversity, and I was getting stronger, and life was really good. And then, this is actually hilarious, by the way, that my stoma is making this noise, because it never normally makes
it knows that we're talking about it. Yeah. That's actually so sweet.
It's very sweet. Thank you. Thanks, Winnie.
Is yours? Yes, Winnie. I wanted to ask if you'd stuck on that name.
Yeah. It's just great with Winnie the Pooh.
It's so good.
But I guess transitioning, my body, I suppose, failed to give birth naturally and without going through a lot of stress. And then it healed, and then it went through more stress, and then it healed. And then it's kind of been on this roller coaster. And I do genuinely believe now that I'm in a really good spot health-wise. I think the identity thing is really weird, because I've always been the same weight pretty much my whole life. And I've always been quite sporty. And I've always had a lot of energy, and I've been really lucky. I enjoy eating, and I've just, and I'd wake up at 5 a.m. and I'd work out, and I'd eat a bit of cake, and I'd eat a bit of this. And I, it's just always been the same. And I think that's hard anyway for anyone that's kind of been fit and healthy. A pregnancy and then the aftermath of that is always going to be challenging, because there's so much change that your body goes through with all the hormones and things. And I think then with the extra layer for me of all of the, there's this scar that I found very triggering, but my body took a really long time to get back into a place where I recognized it. And in fact, it had actually taken 2 full years for me to actually look in the mirror and think, oh, I think I've got my old body back. And I haven't had to, not through, hounding it, but just it's taken 2 years just for things to level out and for me to go back to being me, like Louise Thompson, whatever my norm is, which is not the same as anybody else's, but that was the window. And maybe it took a really long time, because I've really struggled with exercise over the last couple of years. I feel immensely triggered by it. I always tend to feel really, really exhausted the following day. And that's a really hard adjustment for me, because I was someone that preached exercise as being the answer to most people's problems. So yeah, I've done a complete 180, and I've had to be really, really gentle and compassionate with myself, and just do the bare minimum basically. But just looking after Leo is a fair amount of energy expenditure anyway.
Do you think you've befriended your body finally?
Yeah. And yes. And And now I really do love my body, and I see it in a completely different light to what I used to. I used to pick on things like having, I'm a bit top heavy, like my arms are much bigger than, I'm just like, could say that I was slightly out of proportion. And I used to I've had like a good relationship with my body, but there were things that used to bother me. Whereas now, and even people say that I'm very brave for sharing the fact I have a stoma. I just see my body as a vessel for carrying organs that keep me alive. Like I really do. And this like little grey bag is such a small price to pay for health. I do. I really I love my body, and I'm kind of at peace with it.
Thank you for watching. Make sure to check out the full episode of How to Fail on your preferred podcast platform, and also be sure to follow us on social media for the latest updates.